Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bleav in Iowa. I'm Brady Beaton. He's Logan Bachman. Over there, Dominique Daffy, the former Hawkeye tight end. And it is Cy-Hawk week. Big noon kickoff in about a day from when we're recording this. And it's one of the biggest games of the year. Obviously, last year, Iowa had it, then they lost it. And going into this year, I think this is where we can start. It feels like a lot of the narrative and a lot of the media leaning towards Iowa State, and probably for good reason. You know, they beat Kansas State in Ireland. They came back and they whooped last week against South Dakota State. And then Iowa struggled at times with Albany. So I can see why Iowa State might be the favorite going into it. But guys, what's your feel going into the Cy-Hawk Classic?
I think it's kind of funny this year where it's the inverse now. Like Iowa State's got they're feeling themselves now. It's been a few years, but they're starting to feel themselves now. They think they're the big boys. They got their first 10 win season in I think 120 years or something like that. So that's you know what, it's good. It's good to have you amongst the 10 win teams in college football. I mean, it was only you, Indiana, and Vanderbilt, but now you guys are back a lot. You guys are the big dogs now. You're right. You're right. So it's just more fun. It's more fun this year because now there's that expectation of, oh, Iowa State's supposed to win. Iowa State's the top 25 team. Iowa, man, did you see them against Albany? Man, that quarterback is terrible. He threw for 44 yards against Albany. And then now you're like, you know what? I kind of like this sitting back and going, like, oh, the expectations on them to win now. So, I mean, it's kind of like this thing where I remember when I was growing up, every single year it was the Patriots were done. The Patriots are done. Like this is the year the Jets, the Dolphins, not the Bills, but all the other teams, they take over now. This is the time like, oh, now it's the Iowa State's turn to win. It's like Iowa State hasn't beaten Iowa in Ames since James Vandenberg was the quarterback back in 2011, which ironically was Iowa's last 3,000-yard passing season, which is sad in its own right, but that's another discussion. But I'm gonna have to believe it when I see it when it comes to, oh, Iowa State, now this is their time, their time. I mean, you win two games in 3 years, and I think Matt Campbell's what 2-7 against Iowa now. So yeah, I'm gonna have to wait and see it on it, but I feel good. I kind of like this new sitting back and kind of chilling a little bit because this game is it anything can happen. It doesn't really matter how good each team is. Like it's gonna be a 3 point game. It's gonna be 20-17 probably. And yeah, I'm really amped for this game. And the flip the switch thing that's kind of motivated me a little bit more for this one.
Yeah, I mean, the record is nice. The being 16th in the country is cool. They won last year, but I think we all know when it comes to this rivalry, like all that gets thrown out the window. Like this, we play the game on the field for a reason, and this rivalry is the epicenter of that. Like I don't care what happened, I don't care who's on their team, who's on our team. We have to play the game. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be sticky. It's going to be a low scoring game. It's rarely a blowout. It's rarely I think what 2017 was probably the highest scoring it's been in a while. So it's like we always understand that this game is going to be it's going to come down to the wire. Sometimes it comes down to a special teams blunder. And what was that 2019 when they when they dropped the punt and my buddy Devontae Young picked it up. Yeah, so we understand what this rivalry brings, and it brings a lot of animosity. You know, they're already chirping on their side. They're chirping in Iowa City, so we understand that that's just how this thing goes. And whether they could be ranked number one and we could be, it doesn't matter. We have to play the game. We understand that the feeling in the locker room, the feeling all week is we got our little brother coming up this week, and we got to put him back into our place. And we know what that looks like. We understand that they want to do all the cute stuff and the trick plays and throw a lot of bombs, and you know they had great receivers last year, and we're going to play Iowa football, and we're going to see if they can keep up with us and stick with us for 4 quarters, and how bad do they really want to win. And so I feel like that's really what's gonna kind of set us apart. I feel like whoever wins the second half wins the game. And that's usually how it goes. So I don't think this is going to be any different, regardless of who's at quarterback, regardless of what the ranking is, of how many Delta miles they got by going to Ireland. I really don't think it matters. Well, we're going to figure out at 11 o'clock in Ames who wants this game more, and that's who's going to come out victorious.
So let's go to where a lot of the attention is going to quarterback positions. Listen, I'll admit I like Rocco Becht. I think he's been a nice quarterback, and one thing that you don't get a lot in college football, now that the transfer portal is so wide open is a returning starter and a returning veteran. You get a lot of guys that bounce around, like Mark Gronowski, very good quarterback, has a chance to, I Bleav, with a couple wins, be the all-time college football wins leader. I Bleav the quarterback from Grand Valley in the mid-2000s has 52, I think, and Gronowski's at 50. But have that. You have Kirk Ferentz trying to be the all-time winningest Big Ten coach. But staying with the quarterbacks, Gronowski, he had to get his feet wet, and we talked about it last show. He has to figure it out. He can atone for all those sins against UAlbany if he plays well against Iowa State. But Rocco Becht, he's been around a while, and he's played pretty good football for the Cyclones. He is probably what the Cyclone fans are going to hang their hat on the most, and for good reason. Logan, I know you were a former quarterback. What do you see in this matchup?
It's two different stylistic quarterbacks here with Becht and Gronowski. And I've seen a lot of people recently talk about like who's the better quarterback all time between Becht and Brock Purdy. So that's a conversation for another time with that. But yeah, it's probably a good feeling to have that consistent figure at the quarterback position, because he was even there prior to when Hunter Deckers was starting quarterback there, and he came in under weird circumstances because Deckers got kicked out or got left the program. He got suspended, left the program, and he kind of took over the job and kind of just ran with it at that point. And they had some great wide receivers like you talked about, Jalen Knoll, Jaden Higgins, and those guys. And those guys built really good chemistry there. And Rocco Becht, those are very pretty deep ball. He doesn't have like an absolute hose for an arm or anything, but he times the deep ball up really well. And I've compared him to him before, not the exact same player. He's not as athletic, but watching Tyrod Taylor throw the deep ball in Buffalo, that's what Rocco Becht's, and he's the same size as him as well. So it's not, they're not the same athletic ability or anything like that. But just from a throwing perspective, in Gronowski, we talked about it last week, where it's just getting your feet wet kind of thing. And there was some jitters in there, like he was nervous. And you look at the throw that he had to Sam Phillips, like in the first drive of the game, it's like, ooh, okay, we're gonna need to improve on this. But Gronowski's a really good athlete, can run the ball really well. Big physical quarterback. I mean, we saw him run over somebody in the second quarter against Albany last week, and he's not afraid to tuck it and run when he needs to. And Becht, they're starting to loosen it up a little bit and allowing him to run a little bit more. So we'll see if his legs are utilized against Iowa next week. So it's two different stylistic quarterbacks here, but two guys that have been there and done that. I know, like we talked about, Gronowski's a transfer, so he's a little bit different in that aspect, but he's been there, done that before. So it's two very experienced guys, and it's just going to be a fun matchup. I just hope Gronowski's up to it in this one, because the Albany game, wash it. I'm good with the Albany game now. I've kind of just accepted it. It was Albany. They won 34-7. I can live with it. Iowa State, you're going to need to step up. So we'll see how Mr. Step Up is in this game. We've seen him step up the FCS level, but it's going to be a little different in this one, going up to the FBS level on the road in Ames. So it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, and I hope what their coaches are giving him, at least as far as like encouragement, is we need you to be better, but we don't need you to be the guy. Like let's not go out here and assume that we're gonna ask to throw the ball 30 times. Like we want you to loosen up, but don't put the ball in harm's way. Don't be a fifth year quarterback. Do what you know how to do, and we realize that we gave you the keys for a reason. We trust your arm, we trust your legs, we trust your mind, what you see out there. Trust yourself. Obviously getting your feet wet is really important, and playing that first game in Kinnick is really important to setting the tone for the season. And this is another opportunity to do the same thing. So it's just like you have to be able to rely on yourself and have that trust in yourself that you know what to do. You know the game plan. I can make those throws. I can play against the best. I can play against the Big 12, the Big 10, no matter who it is. I could put the jersey on just like they do, and I can go out there and make plays. So I'm hoping that a lot of it is confidence. There's a lot of confidence going to this game plan, whether it's making it streamlined or saying, "Hey, we're gonna let you ride a little bit. This is the opportunity to show what you're capable of. We're gonna give you the keys. You're a grown man. You've played a lot of ball, regardless of what level it is at. Football is football. Go out there, have a great time, live in the moment, enjoy the moment. Like understand, like there's a lot of young kids who are gonna watch this game and grow up and want to be exactly like you and gonna do exactly what you want to do. So understand what that looks like and understand how that feels, and just enjoy it. Be where your feet are and enjoy the moment, and come out here and make plays and have fun, smile, rep the ones, do whatever you got to do to be comfortable. Just go out there and make plays and be able to rely on the players that we have, the run game that we have, and understand that this is going to be an ugly game, and but we feel like you're the quarterback who could lead us in this. We feel like you're a gritty guy who's going to be able to come out and beat teams who, yes, they may have the higher power when it comes to offense, whatever, but we understand that we're going to make this game as Iowa as possible, and we want you to lead the charge for us.
So, a few things of note. No Kamari Moulton this weekend. I Bleav Reese Vanderzee not playing as well. A couple of big guys not in the lineup. A couple of offensive weapons that you'd hope would help propel it. But talked about the quarterback, Logan. I'll let you start. What matchup do you think, or what part of the game are you looking for saying, you know what, this is going to determine if Iowa's having a really nice night name or really nice day at Ames, or if it's going to be a long trip back to Iowa City?
I think what we've kind of talked about, like what Dom was just saying, like trusting the running game and stuff, like the offensive line, I think they can beat up Iowa State's D line. Dominic Orange is a very good player in the middle of the Iowa State's defense. So Logan Jones versus Dominic Orange is going to be a very big matchup. And Iowa ran the ball really well to the left side against Albany. We'll see how Iowa State does that, because Iowa State, it's a weird defense. They play a 3-3-5 defense, so it's a little bit more open to the run than what we see mostly around the Big Ten. So they're more susceptible to that. So if they're able to establish the run and then work off play action and stuff like that, work the RPOs, then I think they'll open up more holes in that secondary. And we've talked about like the difference between the FCS and the FBS and stuff like that. And the windows are so much tighter in the FBS level than in the FCS, especially when you're not as dominant as South Dakota State is. So if you're able to establish the run and dominate the line of scrimmage, which I think Iowa can do, and that the defensive line, that's going to be something else to watch out for. Max Llewellyn, Ethan Herkett, if they can get back to the quarterback, Aaron Graves, they can get back to off his rhythm a little bit, because Becht, you look at games last year against like UCF, you look at games against Baylor, even the game against Iowa, if you can throw him off, he can get a little bit wayward. I'm not saying like he forces the issue and throws an interception or anything, but he can get a little wayward and the ball will start sailing on him a little bit. So if you can throw off his rhythm as well, so if you can cause some problems, because secondary still working through the process with that with the corners. So we'll see how they do in that as well. But the line of scrimmage, I think the D line, if they can get pressure on Becht, and the O line, if they can open up big holes in the running game, then I think that could really help Iowa in this one.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one. I think the next only part I would add is just the fact that we have good depth on both sides of the ball, where I feel like Iowa State's offensive line is lacking depth. So it's like if we can get after them on the defensive line and maybe send some cross blitz and send us a couple times, get them, if they're doing a little bit more communicating over there, we know we're in their head. As far as like, I think that's one thing you always notice, especially speaking from an offensive guy. If our offensive line and our quarterback is doing a lot of communicating, something's not right. Something's pointed the wrong way. We're thinking too much, or we're trying to be one step too. So if we can get them to be a little bit more inconsistent with where they're pointing and essentially just not, like, we don't know what to do, because they're sending blitzes, they're doing stuff that we were not accustomed to and we're not ready for, and we could get them off their game a little bit, we give ourselves the best chance, and we kind of get them on their heels a little bit of like, shoot, I have no idea what to do. We have no idea who's coming as far as like linebacker blitzes. We don't know who to block or who to make the point to. If they're doing more communicating, you can understand that, yeah, we got an upper hand on their O-line. Obviously, having less depth, having less experience, all that stuff, that's something that we could use when we got guys like Phil Parker, who were able to manipulate defenses, or manipulate offenses and get them kind of on their heels, not understanding, God, we didn't game plan for this. We weren't ready for all the stuff that they're throwing at us. So I think if we can use that to our advantage as well, that's going to be something to get Rocco Becht off his timing, off his platform, try to extend plays, maybe put the ball in the air in harm's way, and we get a couple turnovers, and then we get the short field, and, points are going to be really important in this game. So if we can get it any way we can, that's going to be our advantage. So I feel like the line of scrimmage is always important. And I think the only other thing I could say is let's control the pace of the game. We showed that they showed that they can put up a lot of points last week, and we don't want this to be a shootout. If we make this a shootout, it's an advantage Iowa State. I feel like that's just black and white. That's pretty obvious. So if we control the pace of the game, get those 15, 16 play drives, and kind of keep the ball out of their hands, then it gives us the best advantage and gives us the best chance to win. So control the line of scrimmage and, of course, kill the clock.
So, Dom, having played in this game, I know it's not the same because Iowa State's obviously a lot better than they were you know, handful of years ago, 7, 8 years ago. But what do you make of the home field advantage? Because they have like they didn't sell out right away, and I think that was maybe a little overblown. Like it was Iowa fans poking fun at Iowa State that they still had tickets available as of like yesterday. But going to Iowa State, where does that compare to like going in the Big Ten? Obviously, it's a little different atmosphere for a rivalry game, but what is going to Ames like? If you could give a comparison, what was the closest one it was like going to in the Big Ten?
I would say it'd be like going to Minnesota. I feel
Okay.
like that's there's going to be chirping all week. I remember 2017 when we went there, it was extremely hot, and they had this was back then, so we were on the sideline where their student section was. So their student
Ooh.
section was right by not right behind us, but when we were running out onto the field, they were right there in that corner. So they're yelling at us. We're coming out to warm up. We're coming out swarming, and they're screaming right at us. So that's kind of like it reminded me of Minnesota, where you got it's just we understand the rivalry. You know, we we don't like you, you don't like us for the day. It is what it is, but understanding that we're going to come in here, we're going to try to get a dub because we know if we put up points and we are getting them a little bit flustered, it gets real quiet in there. It
Mhm.
gets real silent. You can hear a pin drop. I know they do I don't know if they still do it, the little keys thing. You don't hear no keys, none of that. It's all silent. It's, oh my goodness. How did he miss that throw? So it's like, I equate that to Minnesota, where it's like we understand the level of the rivalry. There's some respect, but as soon as that clock starts, we don't like you. So that's the best way I can explain that.
All right, Logan, final thoughts. Iowa 3.5 point underdog, which if you take it at about face value, that a 3.5 point underdog is usually means on a neutral site, they're saying it's about a pick 'em. Usually you give 3 points for home field advantage. So what do you make of this? Final thoughts on this game? And are the Hawkeyes going to come home with the Cyhawk trophy?
It's weird because watching Iowa State beat Kansas State and how many points they put up against South Dakota, I'm weirdly calm and confident for this one, and I can't really explain why. It's just, and you wouldn't think so after watching the U Albany game last week. I remember I went to a friend's house after the during the Albany game. It was halftime, and the first thing someone said to me was that this quarterback's not it. Like the expectation level of like we need a quarterback now, and then you see some fans who are like that, and you're like, I'm good. I'm calm going into this game because like Dom brought up, where it's we're just gonna go. You gotta go on the field, battle it out. It doesn't matter what your record is. Doesn't matter how good you've been before. You're just gonna beat the crap out of each other, and it's gonna be a dirty game. It's gonna be a long game, and it's gonna come out closer than what a lot of people might expect it to be. Because I'm sure there's some Iowa State fans that think they're gonna come into this game and actually rout Iowa. They're going, oh, Iowa threw 44 yards against Albany. They're not gonna do anything against our defense. We have John Tez Williams, Jeremiah Cooper. Like we got players on our defense. They're not gonna do anything. And I was gonna come in, play Iowa football like Dom said, dominate the line of scrimmage, run the football, control the clock, don't turn the ball over. And if you can do that, you can win this. I don't see a reason why Iowa can't win this game. And I'm going to be going in confident that Iowa can win this game. I think Gronowski will be better than what we saw last week, which is weird because Albany's nowhere near Iowa State, but I feel like he'll look better. I think the running game will still be there. I think Iowa can dominate the line of scrimmage. And if they can do that and limit the big plays from Iowa State in the passing game, then I see no reason why they can't go into this game and have another year of beating Iowa State in Ames. Because again, 2011 was a long time ago. 2011 was a long time ago. That was when Iowa, prior to there, that was when Iowa could walk into Ames and sleepwalk their way to a 35-3 win. Like that was back in those days. So and Iowa still can go into Ames and do that. So I'm confident. I'm good with it, and I think Iowa can, and I'm gonna say will come away with a win in this one.
Dom, any final thoughts on this one before we send this home?
Uh, yeah, I would just say get after the quarterback. I mean, I feel like that's hearing a lot from obviously family and friends who either went to Iowa State or are just Iowa State fans. They speak on Rocco Beck like he's Johnny Manziel. And I feel
Well, you
like,
haven't had a lot in your history,
I mean, I hear, hey, I hear you.
By
Be excited,
comparison,
be happy. 10 wins is really, I mean, I remember the first time we won 10 games. I get it. We were all, actually, I don't even know if I do. I probably wasn't
I think
alive.
we were born for that one.
So, I understand it, but the way that they speak about him is like he's golden arm. So the way we're gonna have to win and the way we're gonna have to kind of put our stamp on the game is get after their quarterback. They gave up 4 sacks against Kansas State, and in my opinion, we have a better defensive line, a better defense than Kansas State. And so if they can do that there, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to do the same thing and maybe even more, and maybe even apply more pressure, maybe even get a couple more turnovers and really make this game look like Iowa football. So that would be my message: is do your best to get after the quarterback and just make this one as physical as possible.
By the way, 1985, the first year the Iowa Hawkeyes won 10 games.
1985, my parents were 15 years old. They were freshmen.
Yeah.
They were freshmen in high school. We talked about the last time Iowa State won in Ames. We were freshmen in high school. My parents were freshmen in high school. The first time Iowa won 10 games. So,
yeah, Chuck Long, first quarterback to do it. So, and Iowa has done it more than a handful of times since. 11 total 10-win seasons for the Iowa Hawkeyes, if you're keeping track at home. So, all right. Well, appreciate it, gentlemen. We'll obviously, hopefully, we have a happy post game to talk about. I kind of like that it's center stage nationally. It's a lot more fun than expecting a 30-point win when Big Noon Kickoff's going to be there, and it feels like a big, big game. So follow us on social media. Dom, plug those real quick, and then we'll send it home.
Of course, we got Twitter, Instagram,
yep,
YouTube up now.
Yep.
And of course, TikTok, all those are Bleav in Iowa.
And you were firing back at some of those Cyclone fans on the TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking with them and I was talking with people who were talking about Bryce Underwood. I mean, hey, if anybody wants to smoke, meet me in the comment section.
All right. Well, for former Hawkeye Dominique Daphne and Logan Blackman, I'm Brady Beaton. We'll see you next time on Bleav in Iowa.